So, Yin Yoga. Let's make our environment comfortable for ourselves. We have all our toys, our props. Such a treat. I always kind of approach Yin as a child that has like a truck and all these different kind of things to play with. These are all our friends. We'll use them in different ways depending on your body, but it's nice to be able to give yourself that option. Let's come into a comfortable seat. You can push play on the playlist if you like that music in the background. Again, just remind to push shuffle so you don't listen to the same music every week. And let's first take a breath in, interlace our fingers, and just take a nice big stretch. And just already feel into the body. Feel some stretch on the sides. Maybe notice some sensitivity in the lower back or not. And then that connection with the body is there. And then close your eyes. And commit to sitting still. Just for 3 minutes. So in meditation, we can speak about unconditional or conditional meditation. Let us simply set the two categories. Conditional meditation means that you try to bring your mind in a specific direction. There is a condition. So that could be your breath. That could be a list of blessings, a list of loved ones. So you specifically give your mind a task. And you try to stick to that task. And it is natural for your mind to wander. And you just catch yourself when the mind does wander and bring yourself back. Unconditional meditation is that you do not give your mind anything specific to do, but you just observe. Observe what the mind does. So today, let's go into a directional meditation. So we are going to give our mind something to do. Apart from focusing on the breath, noticing the breath in the body, let's also think of blessings, things that we are blessed with. It can be one specific thing, one specific person, one specific activity, and you can almost like let a little bit of a movie play in your mind about the past, the future, doing this activity, being with this person, even a pet. And just let all the memories and maybe even images about the future, expectations, without judgment or attachment, just be there. Or maybe there's a list of blessings, a list of people, a list of activities. So let's sit still for another minute or so, but we can also take that meditative mental state into the full hour of our Yin practice. Take 3 more deep in and exhales. In through the nose, and you can easily breathe out of the mouth in Yin. And then let's place the palms together in front of the heart. A gesture of acknowledging each other. We are practicing together, we are breathing together, we are just not in the same building, we're not in the same physical place. And if you have an intention or a dedication to a loved one or maybe someone in need, or just a general dedication to people in need, and bow your head towards your fingertips to seal that in. And our first shape is going to be nice and easy on the tummy with your left leg up. So it almost looks like, I call it a dead man. You know, oh, I'm going to take this off, otherwise you won't be able to see it. You know when they draw those little white figures on the floor, like a cartoon, like a dead person? So you're going to be lying on your tummy with one knee up. It always reminds me of that little drawing. So come into your belly, bring your left knee up next to you, and then place your hands on top of each other, and then turn your face to a side. I'm going to turn my face to the left side, so you can just feel. That's very much feeling into the body. What feels better, turning the face to the right or to the left? Just remember which side you're looking, so you can do the other side a little bit later. And then here we'll practice. So on a physical level, we are in our shape now. On a mental level, we can continue counting our blessings. And then on a pranayama, so a breathing level, we can practice belly breathing. There's a little bit of space here on the left side of your lower belly. So it's not like you're totally pressing onto the tummy, and can you just really let the place around your belly button and even below your belly button softly expand on the inhale. So direct your breath towards your tummy. I sometimes refer to it as a Buddha belly. You know, those little statues of Buddha smiling, they have big happy bellies. It's just aesthetically something we are not used to. It's almost like it's an unhealthy thing or not a beautiful thing. I mean, obesity is obviously not healthy, but breathing into the belly is very good for your diaphragm. So you're stretching your diaphragm, you're giving your organs a bit of space. Right, almost halfway. We'll stay still to the end. You can count your breath. You can make your exhales a little longer than your inhales. In through the nose, out through the mouth. How slow can you breathe? How deep can you breathe? Notice if you're clenching your teeth, bring some space between your top lip and your bottom lip, the top row of teeth and the bottom row of teeth. Around 3 more rounds of breath here. Slowly slide that left knee back next to your right knee, and then we'll come into Sphinx pose. So bring your elbows below your shoulders. Remember that when your elbows are a little bit more forward, you're just giving your lower back a little bit more space. You can obviously imagine, I'm now going to force it. But if I would do this, you can see there's a bit of compression here in the lower back. It's not a bad thing, but I know, you know, if you have a sensitive lower back, just feel where you can go, and it's feeling, it's not the mind. The mind is not important, so just see where you want to go. You can place a block or two under your head if you want to rest your neck muscles a little bit. And we'll stay here for 3 minutes as well. It's such a beautiful thing to practice feeling. Our society is very much thinking based. It's almost like we know very good how to think and rationalize and analyze. You know, that's just our educational system, our work environments, making to-do lists, thinking about preparing things, planning things. So can we practice being? And it's quite nice to be still and just feel. Notice sensations. Create that mind-body connection. Notice if your lower back is happy here. Otherwise, just come a little bit more forward with your elbows. Less is more. And whether there is a sensitivity because of physical reasons, maybe it's organs. Sometimes it can even be your kidneys that are a little sensitive, and that's what you feel. Your adrenaline glands are also around the lower back. So if you are busy, the adrenaline glands get stimulated, maybe even overstimulated. You might feel that. We don't always know what is going on. But just breathe towards the spaces where you feel resistance. Less is more, so go to a place where you can breathe. Soften, just be. Another minute or so in stillness. Two more rounds of breath. Slowly release the props from under your head, and then just lie totally flat with your hands under your head, nose pointing down, and consciously breathe into the belly again, but then also notice the space that gets created in the lower back. So yes, we are breathing into the navel area, the lower back area, lower belly area, but it also has an effect. If it's a balloon that blows up, also the lower back rises a little bit on that big, deep inhale. Feel the space in the lower back and then soften on the exhale. So fill up that balloon. Let it expand front, side and back, and then soften. 2 more rounds here. A sigh is always welcome. We'll do the other side. I'm just going to turn to face the other side of my mat because I've got the wall here. So you are going to lift your right leg. You're going to lift your right leg this time. Remember what side you are facing. I remember I was facing towards the bent knee. So I'm going to do that on this side as well. Take your time. Lovely. Then relax your toes. And come back to that belly breathing. Now there's a little bit of space between your right hip flexor, your right frontal hip and the mat. Almost like a little bridge there. So there's also more space to breathe into that right side of your tummy. But let's come back to that belly breathing. Are you totally relaxed, or can you relax that right leg a little bit more? Let it melt and be heavy on the exhale. Notice your breath, slow down the breath and maybe mentally notice where the mind is going. Follow the breath, or maybe come into that list of things that we are grateful for. Really cultivating an attitude of gratitude. It is easy to focus on things that we don't have and the restrictions that we currently have, but it is also totally possible to shift your mindset and focus on what we do have. Two more rounds of breath here. Slowly slide that right foot next to the left. Knees are pointing down, point your toes. And we come back either into swings. So this is up to you now, depending on how you felt in swings pose just now. You know the sensitivities in the body. And this is also such a beautiful practice to learn how to listen to the body. So normally the body is always healthy and it's trying to heal itself. The fact that, for example, your tummy hurts after when you've eaten too much, or you've got a headache if you haven't had enough liquids, the fact that there is a little message from the body, it's just your body telling you, hello, help, something needs to change, I need some support in healing. So yes, swings pose, blocks, or if there's two options here, you can come a little bit higher by bringing your elbows onto, for example, a bolster. You can roll it forward or back. Just notice when I do this, my shoulders come up to my ears, so I have to be quite conscious about rolling them down. Another option is to place your hands. This is called shield pose. Now when I do this initially, and I can obviously only speak from my own body and my experience, I feel that I'm clenching my buttocks. So maybe I'm a little bit too high. Create some space there, some softness, find your shape, find your edge with kindness, find your edge in feeling and listening to the messages. And you can just take the first moments to see if you're in the right place. And then close your eyes. And we commit to stillness. And we allow time to stretch into the deeper tissues of our body, of our physical body. We allow time for stillness to come. We allow time for us to connect with our breath, to observe our minds, to open our hearts. So yang energy, like vinyasa and practices like that, and actually our lifestyle in general is very yang, which is doing. List, to-do list, do. And yin is the art of not doing, the art of being. Being in the moment, being in your body, being with your breath, being with the sensations. Not having to change anything, just be. And observe. A little bit easier to breathe here because your tummy is slightly lifted off the floor. In through the nose. Slowly out of the mouth. We have a tendency to kind of, like, that's a sigh. But normally in yin we try to breathe in and even breathe slower out. It is, for me personally, it's easier to breathe in slowly, consciously. Exhaling is almost like, oops, I've exhaled so fast, it's already, the air is already out of my body. So that's where counting can help. Around 6 counts to breathe in. And 6 to 8 counts to breathe out. So what I normally do is I breathe in and I count to, for example, 6. And then I count down from 6 to 8. Or from 6 to 0 or 8 to 0. So I count up to 6 and then down from 6 to 0 or 8 to 0. Alright, slowly bring the nose back down to the floor. Let's take a little bit of a pause here. Just feel the effect, the ripple effect. Soften your shoulders. Fill up the lungs, the belly, the full respiratory system. 2 more rounds of breath. Alright, let's be gentle with our back now, because we're going to bend our back in the other direction, which is child's pose. If you have a block, we can bring 1 or 2 blocks in, or a bolster, because we're going to open up here into the armpits. Lots of lymph nodes here. You know, we have lymph nodes here in our groin, that are quite present and often here. So the throat, you know, the ones when we have our sore throat, often our lymph nodes already start to become bigger before we get sick. And this is also why, unfortunately, women get breast cancer, for example, and men prostate cancer. It's just it's a lymph system, and it tries to flush down. But sometimes there's little blockages. So stretching those areas can be very good. If you feel that having your heels on having your buttocks on your heels is too much for you, you can place something in between. I'm okay here. I just want to give you that option. And then we will place our, it's a bit of a puzzle. So you place, I know I can fit onto both elbows can fit on my block, but you don't have to. It is true that if the elbows are a little closer to each other, the stretch is stronger. Stronger doesn't have to mean better, you know. So I know that if it's tricky, don't just use 2 blocks. So you have your bum on your heels, and then you try to see how far that elbow can come forward. So it's just on that edge. Did I put the timer on? I'll wait for you to get into position and then I'll put the timer on. But you're putting your elbows on the edge there, and then maybe your head fits through the biceps. And that's where you'll be. Alright, I'll wait for you to get into position. Nice, good. Start, 3 minutes, breathe. Soften into the shoulders. Let your hips melt down towards your heels. You know how like sharks, they have like gulls, the gulls of a fish, where they breathe in, the sides, those little side pockets where they take air in. Pretend you've got gulls on the side of your rib cage and breathe into that side. Breathe into the armpits. So obviously the air is coming in through the nostrils, but by just paying attention to the sides of the body, by paying attention to the armpits, you'll notice they expand a little more. Just because you create that mind-body connection. Just because you pay intentionally and attention to those parts of the body. And then on the exhale, you just softly let all of that soften and melt. For the next couple of breaths, can you direct your breath towards your shoulder blades? So let the part between your shoulder blades, the back of your heart, rise and fall. 4 more rounds of breath here. Slowly on the next inhale, lift your head. Remove your elbows from the block. Let's come into a tabletop. Hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Just do a couple of gentle cat-cow stretches. Inhale to look up, tailbone up. Exhale, open the back line of the body. Maybe lean a little bit more forward. Lean a little bit more back. All right, Emma knows what is coming. I won't change, you requested it. Froggy's pose. I think this one is new to you, Paul. You will not forget it soon. It's quite a challenging one. So if you have sensitive knees, it's probably nicest to either have something under the knees or fold your mat double or even triple. So I'm going to fold my mat in two. That's going to be the padding for the knees. Shall we do 17 minutes, Emma? No, please. All right, how am I going to show you this now? Can I be on that side? Actually, I'm going to show you from the side. So just pretend my mat is in this direction. So you're going to have froggy legs, froggy feet. Froggy feet are out to the side. So you're on your tummy, but your toes are pointing out to the side. I think I might fit here actually. Let's see if I fit here. So you bring your knees as wide as possible. Yeah, I'm gonna fit here. As wide as possible. And then you bring your ankles behind your knees. So the heels are not hiding behind your bum. You're probably trying to bring them as wide as possible is enough. You walk your knees out to the side and you already start to feel quite a strong stretch here. So Emma was joking because in a teacher's training, I once had to, no, nothing, we don't have to do anything. But we were asked to stay in this shape for 17 minutes. Lots of stuff happening in your mind when you stay in this shape for 17 minutes. So let's just do 4 minutes, which is already quite a long time. Now, from here, just be aware of one thing, and I'm going to show you that from the side, is that you don't hang into the lower back. Notice here, I can kind of hang in the lower back, or I can squeeze my tummy in and almost tuck my tailbone a little bit. So that's where you don't want to put too much pressure in the lower back. Then you can come into the elbows and press your hips backwards. So I'm bringing my elbows a little bit closer to the mat, and woo, that's where you start to feel it quite strongly. I'm bringing my bum closer to the wide wall behind me. So my knees and my hips are in the same line. Just see where you can go. Woo, I didn't start the timer. Let's do 3.5 more minutes. I am going to be nice. There you go. Are you still smiling? Are you still breathing? Every exhale, of course, you can bring the knees a little wider. And of course, you can bring your buttocks more to the back. So more towards your heels. Now just notice that you're not hanging in the lower back. So you're tucking your tailbone a little bit, which opens up around the groin. So when you hang, you might feel a little bit more compression in the lower back. When you tuck, you feel more opening, in your groin there. Ooh. Close your eyes and breathe. When it gets intense, sometimes we start fiddling. Sometimes we start clenching our teeth. Just breathe softness into whatever area you feel is most. Don't hate me for it. Just stay positive. Let's use that attitude of gratitude, that long list of blessings to be able to stay here. Guys, you can always come out. There's no shoot. In order to make this softer, you come more forward. So don't go somewhere where it's too hectic. But yes, it is quite normal that it is quite intense. We are halfway. Come back to the breath. Soften your toes. We've got 1 more minute, so if you want, you can go a little bit deeper. Whoo! Ooh la 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 la. Definitely a physical edge. For me, also starting to become a little bit of a mental edge. You know, it's like you're starting to find excuses to move out. Like, should I stay longer? No, I can move out. Just this internal dialogue that starts to happen. So bring some calmness in the mind by just focusing on your breath. 30 seconds, that's good news. Two more deep in and exhales. Alright, to come out, you probably just want to like army crawl yourself forward, come to your hands, bring your heels together, and then bring your knees back together. You can unfold your mat. And let's just come into a seated position to just notice that we are still alive. Maybe take a sigh out. That was intense, right? Yes, that was intense. I know. Froggy, Froggy, we will not forget Froggy very soon. Alright, let's do some hip openers and some shoulder openers at the same time. I'm getting a little bit cold, so I'm just going to put this back on. So, cow face pose. Shoelace in yin. You might need props, so bring them closer. You know, in these shapes, when in doubt, when you're not sure, like, is this okay for my knee? Is this okay? Just go a little bit higher. Give yourself space. Give yourself the opportunity to get to know the shape, to understand it. And then next week you can always do it, or you know, next time you can always do it a little bit different. So your right knee goes in front of the left. We might have done this already. Ooh, you might need a belt before you come totally into your shape. Where's my belt? There. So our little toys are there. If you want to place something under your buttocks, you place that here behind you, and then you sit down on it. If this is still very, very far removed from being relatively comfortable, you can do half. Half would mean that you have one leg extended and one knee on top of the other knee. So if you would put like a pin, your knees are stacked on top of each other. You can put something under the buttocks. Just make sure that both sit bones are grounded. I think this is Emma's favorite pose, if I remember correctly. It's one of her favorites, right? Yeah. All right, then we add on archer arms. So bring your left arm up. You might most probably need a belt, so that you can bring the belt in your left hand, and then behind you, your other hand, I need a timer. We'll stay here for 3 minutes as well. Your other hand is going to slowly find the belt as well, with the palm facing your back, and then behind you, you can walk your hands. So the left hand is walking down, and the right hand is walking up. Some of you, or I don't know, might be able to interlace the fingers. Too much stuff going on here. Alright, and then sit up straight, ground your sit bones, close your eyes, and you'll notice that when you lean back a little bit, so almost like you want to lean towards the wall behind you, your knees lift a little. Interesting. So just find a point somewhere. Yes, you are grounded. Yes, you are upright. Yes, your shoulders are above your pelvis. And just close your eyes and breathe. Also quite a strong pose. Soften your shoulders. Soften the tongue in your mouth. Breathe. So when we are upright, sometimes it's easier to breathe because the full chest and the front, the side and the back body are open. Nothing is restricting, there's no wall or mat that is pressing against our chest, against our tummy. So really slow down the breath, count the breaths. So ideally one day, that left elbow is pointing straight up to the sky and your bicep is very close to your ear. So the elbow is trying to point up. Yes, nice. Maybe you have a little bit more space where you are almost halfway. And just notice where if you are having your fingers interlaced, how many fingers, which fingers, and if you're on the belt, just notice this left arm, how far it is removed from your face, because it's super interesting and fascinating to notice the difference when we do the other side. There is, for most people, there is a difference, and quite a big difference. Become aware of the fact that you're not arching the lower back too much, so stay grounded through the sit bones. Again, start to lean a little bit backwards. You can even press your shoulder blades into that right hand. So you're not rounding the spine forward, you stay upright, but there's definitely not a back bend going on. Stay upright in the spine, come back to the breath. Half a minute, stay with the breath. Soften your toes, soften the knees. Notice the sensations probably somewhere on the outside of the thighs, around your hips, shoulders, elbows, triceps. All right, slowly let go of your belt or the fingers. Your right hand can slide down towards your bum. Your left arm can come up towards the ceiling. And then just, couple of shoulder loops. To unravel the feet, I like to come forward. Just see what works for you. So I like to just come forward and then come into a tabletop. And then with the tabletop again, just move a little. Move a little in circles. So rather than doing linear cat-cows, couple of circles with the hips, let's say 3 or 4 rounds clockwise and then 3 or 4 rounds anti-clockwise. As if you're stirring a pot. Yes, that's it, that's it, that's it. All right, let's do the other side. So this time, it is your left knee in front of the right. And this is always so funny, or I find it very interesting. when we do something asymmetrical, so we do something on the right and then on the left, our mind, just notice your mind, it goes like, okay, I've been here before, same steps. Well, maybe if we're not letting the mind determine where we go, but if we feel into the body, we might need a different variation on this side, just because we don't have the same amount of space on both sides. With yoga, the differences do become less, because we do so much the same on both sides. They even say that on the sides that you have less space, you could stay a little longer. It's almost like you've got two elastic bands, and one is a little longer and one is a little shorter. Well, then on the long one, we stay, for example, 3 minutes, but then on the shorter one, we'll stay 5 minutes, because that needs more space, or more creation of space. It's the other arm that comes up. So you can have that belt in the hand. And then I notice when I interlace my hands, so this is definitely my stiff side. And because it's my stiff side, I'm actually going to just do one finger for now. I tend to lean towards the left here to compensate for the interlace of the hands. So just make sure you're sitting straight above the sit bones. Ooh, timer. And there we go. Feel free to close your eyes. Ooh, such a big difference. It's so funny. I also, as a child, broke my arm, and I think it will just, it comes back 99%, but never totally, completely. There is a compensation once we've been injured in some way, and that's okay. It's just cool to be aware of it, and then we can nurture it. Lean a little bit backwards, breathe. Notice that when you lean backwards, the knees lift a little. So find a sweet point where you're grounded to the sit bones. Now come back to the breath. Whew, my shoulders. So at the moment, my shoulders, I find it as challenging as froggy pose. So bring your attention back to the breath. Slow, deep breaths. Calm down your central nervous system. Calm down the many thoughts in your mind. Ooh, now I'm getting warm again. When we stretch into tissues where there's resistance, the heat can get created by your body. It's like it's almost like your body is challenged, and as a result, you get warmer. The heart starts to beat faster. We don't think about it, it just happens. One more minute. Big difference for Paul as well there. I can see a big difference there. Interesting. That is your right elbow. It's probably because we are right-handed, I guess. But when my right elbow was up, because I'm mirroring you, it was a lot closer and more up. So it's very funny. I find it interesting stuff. We have 30 seconds. Slowly. Left hand comes down at the base of the spine. Right hand reaches overhead. And then just do a couple of shoulder loops. Whew. Sure. That's why I always potentially accidentally forget about that one. As a teacher, you're also like, oh, I haven't done that one for a while. I wonder why. Well, I know why. It's very, very challenging. Okay, let's come onto our backs. Take your belt width and potentially a block or your bolster. Oh, you might actually want to look first. You might actually want to look first. Because there's something that I notice when I teach this one in class when there's people in the room, is that for some reason it's hard to explain what I mean here. So you are going to have your bum on something. Just note, look here what I'm doing with my elbows. I'm placing the elbows next to me, next to my rib cage, and I'm creating little tables with my hands. I want to place my legs on the little tables so I can, you know when we put a block under our sacrum and our hips can go like, the hips can like rest onto the block, that's in the supported bridge. Here, you bring your knees to your hands and they are resting. So it's not like you're pressing the knees away, it's the weight of the knees that fall into the hands. So maybe it's maybe it's closer here towards the hip flexors, maybe it's around the thigh. You might have to move a little bit. Actually, I find it easier here. If it hurts your wrists, just turn them a little bit. So this is your shape. So there's weight in our elbows. Your legs can become heavy and they can be resting in your hands. Just 2 minutes here. So we have time for a hamstring backline stretch. Close your eyes. Notice the pressure into the elbows. The weight of the legs are into your hands. Yes, that's it. Nice, Emma. Good, good, good. Heels can be close to the bum, so feet are relaxed. Toes are relaxed. You're hanging. Your lower body is hanging into the lower body. I'm switching it around. Your lower body is hanging into your upper body. I can feel it a little bit around the wrist. Because obviously if you totally relax your legs, it is weight. It is weight that is now resting into the hands. Come back to your breath. Feel free to close your eyes. This is such a nice release of your lower back. Alright, slowly bring the feet down to the floor and then lift your hips and remove your prop. Bring your pelvis back down to the floor. And then we'll end with a leg up the wall. So either it's leg up the wall without anything. Sure, it's chilly today, even though the fire is on. Leg up the wall. You can even move against the wall. Remember, then you just bring your bum really close to the wall. I can't let them lean against this beautiful lady. But you could do that for our last shape before Shavasana. Or you can use your belt and bring your belt around the balls of the feet and just kind of let them be supported by your hands. Nice, Emma. 2 minutes here. Make some sounds. Let go. Slowly move to a meditative seat or Shavasana to close our practice together. Blankets are welcome. Make it nice and comfy for yourself. If you want to stay in Shavasana longer, you are very, very welcome to leave the meeting. If you're like, okay, I want to take this opportunity to just stay in Shavasana for 10 minutes or even meditate, just leave the meeting. You don't have to say goodbye, because then you don't hear the chitter and the chatter. It's such a beautiful place to be. I will not take that personal at all. If you are in a really peaceful, happy space, then just stay where you are. If you feel ready to start bringing some movement, some doing, and away from the being, then start with small movements of your fingers and your toes. Acknowledge how wonderful your body works. We don't understand how our fingers bend. We don't understand how we swallow. We don't understand how we blink our eyes. We don't have to understand. We can feel our energy. We can just be fascinated and support our bodies, our physical, mental, and emotional bodies as good as we can by having a healthy lifestyle. You can stretch your arms overhead and even hug your knees slowly into chest, and then bring the arms around the knees. Curl up like a little ball. And then you can roll to the side, and from the side you softly, with as little effort as possible, just bring yourself sideways up into a seated position. Take one deep breath into the nose. Fill up, fill up, fill up, fill up. Hold the breath. And then just sigh it out. One more time. Breathe in, 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 in. Hold. So the softness in the intensity of holding the breath. And then there is a surrender on the exhale. Let's place our palms together in front of the heart. Closing our practice of yin. Let's bring some of that beautiful calmness, that sense of being centered and grounded, connected with us of our mat. Thank you for letting me guide you to this beautiful place, to this peaceful place, to this blissfulness. Namaste.